Computer. Okay, thank you. Happy 2026, and this is a happy new year. It's our first meetup in the year 2026. It's good to see you all joining, and today Muzaffar is going to be presenting along with Davis from his Tanzania, and the topics range from updates in the CLI, updates to the UI library, and the presentation by Davis is going to be about a new hook contributed to app runtime. Also, after the presentation, we'll leave some time for you to talk about any suggestions that you have, any issues that you might have faced in the previous year, and you'd like, more help this year. Yeah, so I will hand off the presentation to Muzaffar, and looking forward to the new way to create DHIS2 apps.
Yeah, thank you, Gasim.
Thanks.
I thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Muzaffar. I'm software developer in the DHIS2 core team, the extensibility team to be specific. The extensibility team is a relatively new team. We are focused, as the name implies, helping people to extend DHIS2 functionality. And of course, one of the main extension points, especially if you're a developer, is to build web applications. So for a while, we had the D2 CLI, and it helped people having a starting point for their web applications. But we were beginning to see that it's becoming out of date. It was developed initially maybe 6, 7 years ago, and things moved on. JavaScript and front end world, it moves very quickly. So 6 years, that's like eternity in JavaScript land. Um, so just to give you an idea what I'm talking about, what it used to be, we had the D2 CLI, and you could say D2 app script in it, and then the name of your app, and that gives you a starting point, an app like this that's quite basic, just makes a call to /me in the API, and displays the name of the user from the API request. So we had the extensibility team. We had a meeting last June, I think, in Tanzania, with a group called the Developer Champions from few HISP groups, and this came up as one of the pain points and things, something that needs improvement. That the CLI it has some issues. So after that meetup, we started looking at the issues with the CLI and tackling them one by one. The main thing with the D2 CLI is that it was bloated, and it's too much if you just want to scaffold or create a new app, which is typically what developers at least would want to do. It's very powerful. It has a lot of things to do, but it seems like it's a lot for this simple task. And we started looking at that, and actually we're looking first. Our starting point was issues with the installation, that some people just can't install it, and we saw that it's bloated. It was more than 500 megabyte to install it. So we shipped into that. We did things to make it lighter. It went down to about 100 megabyte, but we also thought that the task of creating new apps should be and can be decoupled from the rest of the CLI. If you just want to create a new app, you don't need to install the whole thing. It also had other issues. It's because it's quite old. It was developed a long time ago. It's uh, had some patterns that became outdated. It was coupled with Yarn 1 for a long time, and that became an issue for us. It caused some of the other issues there, that not being monorepo friendly, issues with TypeScript support. From our point of view, as well as developers in the core team, it was hard to maintain. It did a lot of things, but that made it quite difficult to reason about and try to improve the templates. And finally, which is the main thing probably from your point of view as consumers of the CLI, is that the template that ships with it is too basic. Like you saw, you're just showing one thing, and you typically want a bit more than that when you're starting a new app. So some of the designs, like design decision, when we started looking at that, how we can make things different. Well, first of all, it was discoverability, that it's hard now. It's very bespoke, very DHIS2 specific, that you have to say D2 app scripts. Every time I do it after 3 years, I do D2 scripts app. Is it scripts? Is it script with an S or without an S? It can be confusing. So in the years since we developed that, we npm create became like a standard. If you go to any meta framework or any template, you can say npm create. Next is for Next.js, or for Vite, it's npm create. So this became a standard, more or less. So we wanted the new CLI to be like that. It's easy to discover. It's similar to other frameworks that you are used to. Another design decision that it's about it, how generic it should be. We thought this is, we are somewhere in the middle between a generic meta framework and something that's specific to DHIS, to this platform. And this is took a bit of discussions where would we draw the line there. And we think we got it right, more or less. We want a starting point that at least you have examples of how you call the API, you get some metadata. You want, when you start a new project, you want some code quality attributes there. You want a linter setup and so on. And for us, even internally, every time we started a new project, we had to spend an hours, maybe days, just getting these things set up. The other point is that it should promote the rest of the ecosystem, and it's relating to not being too generic. This is a scaffolding, a web application for DHIS2. It's not a generic application. So we should have, our tool, and it's part of our ecosystem. The app runtime, the UI library should be an entry point to the documentation as well. If you want to know more, it should be a better starting point. So we did a CLI interface that it's inspired by other popular meta frameworks. Like I said, we used npm create. We moved it to be package manager agnostic, and this is probably for us internally was the biggest challenge and win, that we would decouple it from yarn1 so that you can use npm or pnpm. But our focus and the documentation, you can see that it's shifting to pnpm specifically. And we encourage you to use that, or use npm, but not yarn1. We're keeping yarn1 for legacy purposes, support for that, but at some point we'd want to move away completely from it. The templates are TypeScript first, which is in line with what we're doing, but you can also generate JavaScript. This is more a look into how it's built internally. We maintaining one template in TypeScript, and then we're converting it to JavaScript. This might be irrelevant for you as a consumer, but it shows you just the general direction that us and most of our community is moving, is towards TypeScript, and away from Yarn and Yarn1 specifically. For us also internally, this is like it's easier to maintain having everything under this one repo, one CLI, because with D2 it was very composable, but it did a lot of things, and it wasn't easy to keep track of it sometimes. So yeah, just show you how it works. Anything here, I'm using PMPM. It has a lot of benefits for speed, and it's quite fast, and we like it, and we've started using it internally. But anything that says PMPM, you can use MPM instead of it. It's almost, yeah, it's one-to-one with the MPM. So um, if I want to do this starting point, and please try it yourself as well while we're talking, uh, you can say PMPM DHIS2 create and the name of the project, or if you don't specify the name of the project, did I get it? Sorry, I got it. PMPM DHIS2 app. And this is, like I said, similar to what you would do in Vite or other places. You can do it with npm create or with npm. With npx, it has slightly different syntax. You mentioned the full name of the package, and yeah, once you do this, you will get again pm. This is like this. You will get the wizard, which you can specify the name of the project. You can specify a language, either it's JavaScript or TypeScript. We have two templates, and we'll talk about them. One of them is with React Router. We talked with Dev Champions group from his groups, and they told us few things that would be nice to have in a template. So there is a basic one. There is one that has React or Router integrated from the start. If I choose this, you see it will go ahead and it will create this. It tells you how you can start it. And if I start, maybe I should stop the other ones just so that we keep using the port 3000. And this is the basic template. It has a bit more. Yeah, it has a link to like the same calling /me and getting the name of the user, some links to get to the documentation, and the call for data elements. It will call the metadata data elements and list them using the UI library to list that. So this is the basic starting point with this new CLI. It already shows you some of the typical things that you will need to do in applications. But if we try with the template, pm create again, and this time I'll just specify the name, and you can say dash dash yes, that's uh, to accept all the default. But let's again go through it. I use TypeScript. This time we do TypeScript with the React Router template. And if I go then to demo and say pm start, this is a bit, yeah, more. There has more to it. Footer here with the same list, and also React Router being set up with two routes for that. For any app more than like a demo, any real life app, you'll probably need React Router. So that seemed like something that's good to do. And if I look at the the template that got here in demo, it's the same one. So you see that it has a couple of things that more than before. which is like, again, a good starting point. It's using PNPM because I chose that, but you can choose the package manager you want. It will, if you run npm, it will know that you are running npm and use that as the default one. If you're using pnpm, it uses pnpm and so on. But you can also just specify, be explicit, and pass it the package manager that you want to use. If by the way you want to know any of these, um, you can say have the help here, and you can see that you can specify package manager, you can specify if it's TypeScript. So you can use this to skip the going through the weather step by step if you already know what you want. And here you see you have an app that still goes to /me, but also some extra component for the other pages. Most importantly in practice, probably that we have this uh, component that does a call to the API. So it shows you an example with, again, list for the documentation. We're specifying a page size and fields when we call data elements. Just show you some of that's the minimum that you would need to do in a DHIS2 web application, probably, is to call some metadata endpoint and list it, or perform other, CRUD operations on it. So this is a bit more than that was there before. For the React Router app, it also sets up React Router. It makes sure that we're using the hash router, because that's a caveat of being in DHIS, that we need to use the hash router so that the router doesn't intervene with the backend. So you get this kind of caveat out of the box. Um, for TypeScript, it also, by default, it sets up aliases. So we're making use of our uh, v config extensions, something that we showed in the previous meetups, that now we are using Vite. We moved to Vite a few months ago. And one of the nice things to have is to have aliases, so you don't have to, every time you want to import a module, you go the full path with relative path or so on. So by default, it uses aliases. Again, a way also to show you what's possible. It has D2 config with the types that we added few months ago. So if you want to go to the D2 config out of the box and you don't know, you get the full documentation for D2 config. I always used to say maximum version and it's max, but having the types helps you. So you have that as well there. Um, it has ESLint and Prettier setup, and that's related to a separate piece of work that we've done related to starting to move away from the legacy. For a while, we had this D2 style library, and the reason we had it is that when we built this 6 years ago, there were no alternative, but now there is the concept of shared configs for ESLint and Prettier. And we have a shared ESLint config and shared Prettier config, and we use them here, but you are also able to just uh, extend them with the typical way of standard way of using these libraries. You're able to use other standard configs or use your own or anything with that. And it's ESLint 9. We were stuck in ESLint 7 for a while with CLI style, and then moved to 8, and we couldn't move to 9. So yeah, now this is more standard. So yeah, you have all of these as a starting point. Yeah, client-side routing with the hash router, ESLint, Prettier, config extension with aliases, and a page where you list data elements so that you can call the API. The CLI itself, like I said, you can see here you have the the help. You can also, if I say yes, you can accept all the default and not go through it, but you can also override something. So if I want the default but use React Router, I could do something like this. I could also add the debug. So if I add a debug here, you will get more uh, information about what's happening during the initialization. Um, And yeah, this is the new CLI. Hopefully, it is much easier than before. If you want to use npx, it's just the one command. All of this is in the documentation. You can use npm, TypeScript, anything, and this it uses npm as a package manager instead of pnpm. You see with npm and yarn, you will get some warnings. That's one of the reasons that is we're recommending moving for pnpm, and we're doing that locally. Uh, if you wanted to specify package manager, you could have say, yeah, package manager yarn. This will be legacy yarn, and this will create one with, let me say, JavaScript as well for a change. You see that it creates one with a yarn lock and removes the PNPM and so on. So this is all documented. If you go to the creating a DHIS2 web app guide and the references for the CLI, you'll see the documentation of the things that you can do with the new CLI. So yeah, this is basically the new way developing apps of in 2026, like we said in the title. Um, what's next is we're looking always like now that even internally this is a bit more structured in an easier way. The templates are easy to update. We will continue updating these templates. We are looking, yeah, improving TypeScript support. This is bigger than just the CLI, but we already did a lot of improvements in the UI library and our other libraries. But the biggest one would be to have a shareable types for the API itself, and we are working on that. And we will incorporate it with the starting templates when it's there. Better tests, better patterns in general. Other templates, optional template extensions, like we showed now that we can list data elements and metadata, but we also might want to do the other of CRUD operations as an example, like for creating data elements, updating, deleting, also shows how you can use our UI library better. There are things that are, we need them internally, we will add them to the template as optional and might be useful for the rest of the community to have, for example, a setup for GitHub Action in general, but GitHub Actions for App Hub release, Husky pre-commit hooks. The people in the community, not internally, are using Tailwind, for example, and maybe that can be an extension that out of the box you can get Tailwind configured as well. We also adding the ability to specify your own template. You can point to a GitHub repository, Git repository, and that gets cloned and be used as a starting point. Also inspired by things like Next.js and so on. And this is it. Hopefully, this makes creating web applications easier for you. If you have feedback or request, the COP is a good place, but you can also email us at team-extensibility@dhis2.org. And of course, you can also ask questions now. This is it for me, Gasem. I don't know if you
Thank
will
you.
do the questions now or at the end. Thank you.
Um, uh, how about we can keep him to the end since no one asked in the chat. But if you prefer responding to questions now, we can. It's up to you.
We can keep it. We can keep it to the end, just so
Okay.
that we don't take from David's time as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. Thank you. One point is that if I know you're all developers and probably you might have even tried this. If you haven't, please go ahead, try it as soon as you can, and even make a post in the COP with a screenshot, anything. This helps, and you might even see it now in the demo that it's easy, but then when you try it, you face an issue, and then that's how we learn together, and that's how we discover bugs or improve. Um, so thanks a lot, Muzaffar. I will also have questions for you when I try this out. The next presentation is by Davis from Tanzania, with their contributions, the new hook or webhook contribution, a new hook. It's a new hook contribution to the app runtime. I don't know the details, so I'm just gonna watch like everyone else and listen to Davis about this contribution. So um, do you have a word, Muzaffar, before Davis starts?
No, I'm just struggling to stop my
Okay,
screen share.
I think,
Okay.
okay, I can stop it right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Good.
Davis,
Thank you.
thank you. Davis, yeah.
Yes, let me share my screen.
Okay, actually, can't make you co-host. Muzaffar, I think you're the one who can make him co-host. I think you can share Davis, sharing the screen. Okay, now you can. Okay. And we can hear you, but okay. Now we can see your screen sharing as well. Thanks. We can see your screen sharing. You may start, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello everyone again. My name is Davis Tibenda. I'm a software developer from DHIS Tanzania, and today I'll be sharing a bit about a recent contribution I made to the DHIS2 app runtime. To start off, in this presentation, we're going to cover the newly added current user info hook in the DHIS2 app runtime. I will briefly explain why this hook is needed, how it's meant to be used, and then after I will share a bit about my experience in the contribution process. This will include what went well and also the challenges I faced. Moving on to why this hook was needed. There's this pattern of fetching current user, which is something that comes up again and again across many DHIS2 web applications. If we can go to this link here, we can see that there's many examples of DHIS2 web apps that are using this pattern of fetching the current user by hitting the /me endpoint. The downside of doing this is that often it leads to extra unnecessary calls to the /me resource. So the main goal of the hook is to standardize how we access this currently logged in user across DHIS2 apps. As we've seen, by using this approach, it centralizes the logic that is in the app runtime. It makes just a single call to the /me resource. It retrieves all the fields for the user and then stores the results in the app shell and then reuses it wherever it's needed. So by using this way, the approach becomes the memory impact is negligible, but also it helps reduce network traffic and simplify the app code. So next, we're going to look at how the hook is actually meant to be used. And luckily, it's very easy and straightforward. You just need to call the hook inside a React component, and then it will return either the current user object or undefined. Now, since this hook does not expose a loading state, it is very important to note that you will need to handle the undefined case in your consumers. If I could show just a little bit of demonstration here. As you can see in this React component, I'm calling the hook over here, and then we can see that it returns a current user object or undefined. Now, if it is undefined, for this case, we're just showing this error message that error user is undefined. And when the user is not undefined, we will just show their first name and their surname. You can access pretty much all the fields that are given by the /me resource, which are of course typed in the current user object. So these are just some of them. For example, we can look at the display name. Maybe change here. Display name. And then this is what would show up. So to continue, I would like to finally briefly talk about the contribution process itself. There were the positives and also challenges. To start off with the positive side, the feedbacks from the maintainers that I received were very clear and constructive. We had some good discussions around the design of the hook and type safety, especially when things became a little bit more complex during integration. But overall, I would say the PR review process felt very encouraging and collaborative. Moving on the other side, that is some challenges that I faced. One of them was dealing with the CI and lean checks, where some of my commits initially were failing automated checks, even when things looked completely fine on my IDE locally. I just had to make sure that I run prettier and lean checks locally every time before I push a commit. So that's how I went through that problem. But also another challenge I faced was understanding how the app runtime project is structured and how multiple packages work together inside that same project. This is because I introduced the user service as a new service package. So I had to set up the local development, but also I had to test it. So figuring out how to actually test the hook locally was, it took some time to understand first how the project was structured, and then things went smoothly after that. But also another issue that came up was how publishing order of the packages matters in larger repositories, and how it may cause building some packages to fail if the order is not followed. But overall, I would say working through all these challenges with the maintainers was a very valuable experience for me. And yeah, I learned a lot. So to wrap up, I would say this new hook just simplifies how applications access current user information from the app runtime, and it being explicit about when the user is available or not helps developers avoid runtime errors. And overall, contributing this feature was a really valuable learning experience, and it gave me more confidence working in large open source projects. That is all from me today, and thank you everyone for listening, and back to you, Gassim.
Thank you, Davis. Great presentation and great contribution. It will make it a lot easier for people to get the username and get the user info in the web apps. Maybe I have one question for you, is if you've tried this webhook and the new way to create apps.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yes. Okay. Then I just gave you some projects in mind. But that's what I kind of want to encourage myself and everyone here, is that we keep testing and trying things. As soon as we hear is that there's a new feature, there's a new update, to try it out. So we had our two main presentations today, and what we'll do next is open up the space for people to talk and to share the feedback or questions. But for now, I'll stop the recording. Thank you for the presentations, and happy 2026. And also a reminder, I'll be sending the invitation link to redeem your badge, the Developer Meetup Attendee badge, in the chat. Please remember to click on it and receive your COP badge.